It is a pleasure to be with you all this afternoon. I'm Janine Gordon. Now, you know, I love living in the Bluff City. The people, the food, music, and sometimes the weather, minus the humidity. And that's why we have Bluff City Life. Check it out. Early detection can save your sight. See how you can reverse blindness and protect your retina from failing in the future. Help is on the horizon. This teenager took charge to provide much needed relief in height of the COVID-19 pandemic, sending resources overseas. But first, the grit and grind put into the Bluff City is what keeps it going. And I mean that. There's a lot of development happening. All you have to do is just look around from downtown to midtown and just elsewhere. But there is a lot that one man is doing to safeguard the integrity and history of Memphis. And for his efforts in preserving our historic architecture, such as the Tennessee Brewery, and for being a role model as well, he won the very first New Century Award for Memphis Heritage. Congratulations to you, Billy Orgel. And I want to know all about the project and what you thought of this honor.
I really thought Leah Fox Greenberg and June West called me, who was the former president or chairman of Memphis Heritage, and I thought she was coming to one, ask me for money, or two, to slap my hand on something. I didn't know what I'd get my hand slapped on, but and she and Leah came by and to my office, the brewery, which was appropriate because that's a great historic building that dates back to 1890 with a storied history. And I thought that she was coming to talk about something else. I had no idea she was coming to give me an award. And but I'm truly honored, and I've had great partners over the years. And so they kind of deserve the award along with me, because that's how we get things done. It was started in the 1880s, and the Shore family, which there's actually, they went numerical with their children and grandchildren. I think there's a Jake Shore the fifth, but if you ever go to Westie's, that is Jake Shore the third, I think, who is the grandson of the founder. I may be off a generation or two, and he's been a big help over the years, giving us some of the history of the building. But so it was a brewing company that survived through Prohibition. And finally, when the national brands in the 1950s it kind of became prevalent and they were just mega brewers, the local guys really couldn't compete on price anymore. And you had hundreds of local breweries all over the country. And so in 1954, I think the president was Buddy Krausnick, whose son Collie is Memphian. And they shut the door, and it became a scrapyard. And then that was run by the Karchmer Newberger family. And they've got some colorful stories about what went on down there. It was pretty abandoned down in that area. And then in 1982, somewhere in there, it was just abandoned. And it sat there, went through several revisions on what people were going to do with it. And basically, it became kind of an urban, a vacant urban playground where people were left to just kind of climb over this, climb through that, and just go explore and put graffiti in there. And occasionally there was a movie filmed in there. And my friend even had a party before his wedding because his uncle owned it at some point back in the 80s. But it was slated for demolition. I got to give credit to Doug McGowan, who is with previous mayor, Mayor Wharton, and they had an innovation team, and they wanted to activate the space. And they went to 4 Memphians, Doug Carper, Andy Cates, and 2 others, and they did an activation event, Untapped, back about 6 or 7 years ago, and they brought about 50,000 people into the building, lightly cleaned it up, and Doug and Andy gave me a tour of it, and Michael Tower was one of the other ones, and I got to remember the 4th one. But they did an activation event, and that made that sparked my interest. I always loved old buildings. We'd been doing buildings, and so we decided to take on this project. It's actually not even a brewery. We call it the Tennessee Brewery. It was kind of an obvious name just to call it the Tennessee Brewery, but it's got about 273 apartments. We worked with the Downtown Memphis Commission and the local elected officials, and we got a parking garage that's in the middle of it all, which you hardly see. It's on Keel Avenue, not Keel, excuse me. It's on Mina Avenue. And then there's our office space for Tower Ventures, which is our cell tower company, is in there. And there's actually, if you come into the space, there's a huge atrium that goes all the way up about 85, 90 feet. And there's a glass ceiling to it. And we've got a local artist, Greeley Myatt, designed a cell tower out of neon. So it actually doesn't operate as a cell tower, but it represents what we do as a company. And it's a beautiful piece of art in the middle of the space. So you're welcome to come see it sometime. But it lights up and it creates rainbows all over the building, depending on which way the sun comes in. But then we've got 2 restaurants in there in the space, as well as our offices in there. And there's a cookie place opening up soon too that's going to go in the corner of the parking garage. We're redoing 99 Front, which is the butcher shop building. I call it that. It's going to be called 99 Front when we open it in late December. But that's a beautiful building built in the late 1800s. And I just imagine, well, yeah, that'd be great. You could have a river view from Front Street if that building was gone. But if you look at the facade of it, you say, you would never build that again. You couldn't afford to build it. The architecture, the carvings, the stone, everything that's in it, you would never do again. You would do something rectangular, square, and you couldn't replace it. So I just think what it would be like we did. We can go to any city in this country and look at new, but I love cities that preserve, and I think that's important. And it gives the city, it keeps the character of the city and reminds you where you are.
Next on Bluff City Life, staying connected. Learn the crucial steps for networking during and after you meet.